Hello, hello. So this is the 2-month progress. So we got some beautiful tomatoes here. These are the ultra sweets. So yeah, just gorgeous tomatoes here. And then we got, I believe these are some Romas here. I don't know if you can see here. Yeah, some gorgeous, gorgeous tomatoes. Those are actually the Juliets. And here's some basil down there. Our oregano is doing really good, and our little parsley, and of course here's our sage, good old sage, and here's our zinnias coming over here, growing really well. A lot of leaves, a lot of foliage, and get back in this jungle down here. We got some good vines there, and yeah, and then we got there's a few there coming. So yeah, doing really well progress. And yeah, it's a jungle in here. And this tomato, man, it's going crazy and just taking over. It's doing really well. I would say these are about 4 feet high. And we're coming back here. These are the Whoppers. This is the Whopper tomatoes. And you can see his cage. He's just barely having to push his cage down. And we should have trained these guys better, but they are just going crazy, doing really well. And here's our little cherry tomatoes. And these are probably 4 feet high and maybe 4 feet wide. So yeah, they're doing really well. And so this is the primarily refilled with the all-purpose there, the Miracle-Gro, and it has fertilizer in it. And I believe what's happening actually is there's a lot of foliage, but not a ton of blossoms. So they're going. We got little flowers here, and they're doing real well. But we've cut back a little bit on the watering frequency. And here's some of our beautiful zinnias here, just amazing. And this is about a 2-month progress. 2-month progress. So yeah, these are doing really well. And then now come over here to hear some more beautiful flowers. And then of course, here is that watermelon. Just going crazy. He's got vines all the way down here. There's another vine that's probably 6-7 feet long. And then we've got all kinds of vines coming on here. And probably what we need to do is trim off some of these vines so they don't use up all the energy making vine, and we want to put all that energy in making fruit. So yeah, here's some more vine here. Here's the watermelon vine, if you can catch it there in the viewer. And I would say that's at least 8 to 10 feet long. So there's a ton of vine, but not a lot of fruit. So what we probably need to do is trim off some of this vine so it doesn't use up all its energy in making vine, and we want to make, have it turn all that energy into making fruit. So here's one of our spaghetti squashes, and there's some more spaghetti squash. He's hiding in here, and it's a jungle in here. I mean, there's squash, there's zucchinis, and as you can see here, these leaves are just going crazy. These vines, and then cute little baby watermelon. So try not to have the sun. There you go. Yeah, should put something underneath it so the sun doesn't fry them. And then of course our little tiny little Jackby Littles. These are so cute and adorable. We got some bugs going on there, but these little Jackby Littles are so adorable. There's some tiny ones, there's some big ones. Let's see there. And this poor little plant, he's just getting overcrowded. And that is a butterfly bush. And then, now these are the transplants we had in these little buckets, these canvas buckets we got off of Amazon. So this is the first year we're trying them. And I think they do pretty well. They retain the moisture really well. And so this little butterfly bush, he's really trying to make a go of it. And then this guy, very colorful. Switching over here. for a butterfly bush, but as you can see, this watermelon, absolutely crazy. So like I said, we probably need to clip off, some of this vine, and then that way it's going to redirect a lot more energy in making fruit. So, but yeah, we cut back on the watering. We actually shut it off for a few days because it was getting kind of soggy. And so this doing crazy, doing really well. And then now we've got some bugs here that have been eating our leaves. And then of course they've been kind of having their way with these zinnias. And we found that this Japanese beetle. So we've used some DE, diatomaceous earth, on the leaves, and there's some of the white stuff there, and it's non-toxic. It is just ground up seashells, very, very fine. So what happens is the bugs, they ingest that, and it dries them out. So, and I will show you what we did find a Japanese beetle, and we subject the poor guy to a drowning of diatomaceous earth and killed them. But those Japanese beetles, they're just really eating up these leaves. Well, luckily, these sacrificial flowers here have kind of taken the brunt of the force from the pumpkins. But so here's some pumpkin squash damage. But there's plenty of leaves, so they're very robust. So we just come out here every once in a while and see those Japanese beetles. We grab them, and you can either put them in a bucket of soapy water, or you can use some diatomaceous earth. We do not spray. We do not put any spray chemicals. It's all organic, except the diatomaceous earth. And got a 50-pound bag of that, like maybe 8 years ago. And we've only used maybe a couple pounds. So it lasts forever, but it's very dusty and it's non-toxic. But and I'll show you some of that a little later here. And then of course here's some of our zinnias, or little petunias are doing really awesome. And then our sunflowers here, they are just growing up a storm, growing really well. And kind of circle back over here. I would say these are about 4 feet high. Poor little peppers, yeah, I need to give him a little bit of water. He's looking a little wilty there. Like I said, we've shut off the water for a few days. As you can see, his leaves are getting a little wilted. No flower, no fruit on the peppers. And then here's one of our transplants in these buckets, in these little baskets here. And they retain water pretty well because as you can see, it's a little dry, but down underneath it's still wet. So I'll turn back on the water here. These guys are needing another drink. So those are doing amazing. And then come over here and we've got some morning glories, and we've got, of course, our borage. He's just a hardy trooper. And you can eat these little leaves. You can eat these little buds here. Very, yeah, you can eat those, and he is doing great. That's a transplant again from Al's. Here's little petunias. So yeah, we got a little tiny flower there, and that would be the morning glories. And so our chamomile is doing really well, flowering very nicely. And then our little strawberries. And so these are all from Al's, and then our little, that's a little squash. It's doing real well. And then some here, our borage, and our cilantro, and then some peppers. So again, the peppers didn't do the best this year. Of course, it's just 2 months in. But, and I don't know if you remember a month ago, he was just a stick. So he's climbing, he's growing, but not as aggressively. He's got a lot of catching up to do, but so we haven't lost any peppers or tomatoes. So here's more lavender. I don't know if we can catch that little bee there. He's working really hard. These are morning glories. And then of course over here is our dill. He's hiding, but he's doing real well. Well, I think what it's doing is it's adding more nitrogen than potash and potassium, I believe. So I've actually got some other fertilizer, and maybe we'll just give that a try on one of these guys to see if, because we don't want a ton of nitrogen, and that just adds foliage. So I've got a long time ago, Dardanos was on Evans and LePan. Fantastic. They had the best fertilizer, and they've since went out of business. But it was 5-10-5 on their fertilizer, and that stuff is like crack. I mean, they do really well. But unfortunately, I can't find any more, so I stocked up, and I have some left. But and I think what's happening is it's a little bit too much nitrogen in those leaves and that foliage. Because I mean, there are definitely some good fruit. Got a little bit of cracking there on the tomatoes, but those are gorgeous tomatoes. So here's our 5-10-5. Basically here, just to review here, I don't know if you can see the label. So we got total nitrogen 5%, phosphoric acid 10%, potash 5%, and then sulfur 4%, and then 0.5% of iron. I don't know if that can come out through, but this stuff is the best fertilizer I've ever used, and it's from Dardanos Flowerland. You got fertilizer on the aromas there. I don't know if you can see it. That's the aroma, and then of course the Thai pepper. We're going to see if that can kind of help give them a little bit of boost. I love this stuff, but I have a tendency to overuse, and they just need a little bit, maybe halfway through the growing season. So let's also water this in here so it doesn't burn. I'm going to give him a nice drink. And then this guy, a little dry. We didn't give him any. And of course, here's our. So we're gonna wash that in there pretty good. I like to, when I do a little fertilizing, I like to put water in there. Water it down so it doesn't burn, and water it within the soil like we're doing here. And that way it can dilute, the water can dilute it. Because if you put it straight on without water, it's gonna burn. So here is this Japanese beetle. Very destructive. And this is clean themselves. The fine particles, the diatomaceous earth, just dries them up. And so we just use a little container. This is a little Gatorade, obviously. We poke some holes in the top, poke them going up. And this is where we put our diatomaceous earth, or DE it's for short. And then so it's just like a little shaker. We're making a little salt shaker there. And we've got about a 1/4 cup left. And it doesn't need very much, just a light dusting. Works good on all bugs. Cut. Also called fossil shell flower. And here's a label, but this is a 50-pound bag. We got, I think, at Murdoch's. And I have it kind of in another bag to keep it, I have this in the garage. So as you can see, it's real powdery. So you can wear a mask because it's dusty, but it's not, it'll just make you cough, but it's, so you probably want to wear a mask if you use it or handle it. But yeah, this is a 50-pound bag. Wasn't very much, but it's, we just spread it on, and this is probably a 10-year-old bag. And we've had really good luck with that. You have to reapply it because the wind and of course the watering will wash it down. So you apply that on the leaves and it works great. And immediately once I added water to this guy, and we'll turn back on the sprinklers here. Well, water, and he's already starting to perk up. But like I said, I had the sprinklers off for almost a week because we had some rain and it was pretty soggy in here. We were starting to get mushrooms, so it was getting pretty soggy, so kind of backed off the water a little bit. And now obviously when you see some droopy leaves, you know, on these peppers here, it's still a little droopy, but His buddy here has got a little bit more water. If you see droopy leaves, obviously they need a drink. But we're regulating its